Ah, shit. This episode of the BRG podcast has been brought to you by our patrons. Here at BRG, we'd like to thank those patrons who have subscribed and donated. It is because of generosity like yours that makes this show possible.
On this episode of the podcast, we cover all the usual bits and bobs of gaming news this week, as well as a whole bunch of other news and some odd news. And tonight's main topic is, unfortunately, all about blaming games. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the BRG podcast with your host, WarpedJester, that's me, and my wonderful, my beautiful, my still frozen beyond compare co-host.
Wait, it's getting warmer. It's getting warmer.
Is it now?
Yeah, better weather is coming. Absolutely. Hi guys, it's Kirok.
And it's WarpedJester, and together we are the BRG podcast, and we are but a small portion of the BRG as a whole. We are a community of gamers doing things with other gamers, for the gamers, having a good time gaming. That is what we do. If you want to find out more about that, I definitely encourage you, look us up. We've got a website, we've got a YouTube channel, obviously, and place it on the Discord to talk to us. We'll tell you more about that at the end of the show. However, tonight we're going to get into some interesting and odd news related to gaming, tech, some really strange other, and we are going to rehash the stupidity of blaming games for everything, including shootings that happened recently. I know it's a sore subject, guys, but we want to kind of touch on this again because it's been a while since we talked about it, and just kind of reiterate and cover topics and try to put a little bit of a reality check of some of the out there that's going on with us right now. So we're going to be doing that tonight. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, boys and girls, let's go ahead and get into the news this fine evening. And go ahead and start us off. We're going to do a little bit of rumor milling. Guess what? Blizzard's going to do Diablo 4.
What?
Maybe.
Oh.
There's actually some job postings from the Blizzard site that are looking for people that it really sounds like they're working on at least some type of Diablo franchise. Now, whether it's going to be a Diablo 4 or who knows what, maybe a Diablo-based other type of game. But basically, they had a posting for somebody who can, project manager who can manage and creative direction for a project, who will steer strategic creative decisions at a franchise level. There's some other notes in there about what this might be. Now, specifically, Goldman Sachs is putting out there and saying Diablo 4 is going to happen in 2020. They don't have much to base this on, but that's their prediction. So there you go.
Got it. Wow. I got a piece of news that you will love.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Nintendo hopes every single person will own a Switch. This is an article by Ars Technica. The Switch has sold so far over 13 million units in less than a year, really close to hitting your prediction. And Nintendo is looking at the Switch as a device that can go beyond the expected 5 to 6 year life cycle consoles normally go through. There goes my dream of a Switch Pro in October, or October, November, December. Miyamoto. Yeah, it's because the victory would be sweeter if it were right. Miyamoto quote was, "Our ultimate ambition is for Nintendo Switch to be owned not just by every family, but by every single person."
Basically, we want to make more money.
Exactly. Yeah.
On the Sony front, a couple pieces of news here. The first one is Sony's going to drop the price of their PlayStation VR to as low as $200. Now,
that's awesome.
This is following after the price drop they did for the holiday season. This is going to be the price drop that's going to be putting the basic bundle in the $199 category. This gives you the basic bits and bobs you need for the VR system. And to be quite frank and honest, you're a fool if you actually buy that one, because in addition to that, they're also going to do the Gran Turismo Sport bundle, which is going to be $200.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Additionally, you can also do Doom FVR for $300, and also Skyrim VR for $350. And they have some other elements to it. If you're really interested in finding out more, of course, you can go check them out on the Sony blog. They'll tell you a little more detail about it. So if you've been trying to get into this, this is probably the cheapest you're going to get for a quality VR experience.
Well, I have some VR news that's actually going up in price.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, VR, or actually Viveport, which is by HTC. Viveport VR subscriptions are to go up in March by a couple of bucks. So HTC launched VR Netflix-esque type a service, that's the word I'm looking for, allowing users to pay $6.99 a month for up to access to up to 5 titles. Well, they just announced that as of March 22nd, Viveport is going up by $2 up to $8.99 a month. So it's kind of sucks, but I didn't think that they would really do well with Viveport. Mainly, like I have the HTC Vive, as you know, and I'm getting all my games from Steam. That's where I'm getting them from. I look at the Viveport and I'm like, whatever, nah. But I did look at it, and there are comparable games in there that are on Steam, but it's just I have to now set up something with them. I'd rather keep everything in one place unified. So it's an interesting thing.
I feel you on that front. I hate having things scattered. I've got accounts for Steam and GOG and
exactly.
Origin, and it's just it turns into a pain in the ass trying to remember where shit's at or looking through libraries.
It's a real fight, right?
It is. Speaking of really bad transitions. So, makers of a formerly titled My Little Pony inspired fighting game, MAME 6, actually back in the arena. So in case you didn't hear about this, but a few years ago, there was a group named MAME 6 that was working on a My Little Pony 2D fighting game called MLP Fighting is Magic, which that in of itself is fucking epic. Awesome. I love it to death for that. However, Hasbro did not see it the same way and slapped him with a cease and desist, and that basically shut him down. However, MAME 6 didn't give up, though. Instead, they started a Indiegogo fundraiser for $600,000 for a new game called Them's Fightin' Herds. Can't make this shit up. And of course, as you can see, it is basically they decided to redo it and rename it to make it just enough off they can't get yelled at, hopefully. This is expected to come out on the 22nd of February for PC. My recommendation is fucking go out and buy this goddamn game. If nothing else, just because if Hasbro gets wind of this again, they may shut them down just for the artistic aspects. So get it while you can, kids.
That's amazing. We mentioned this once before. Stardew Valley multiplayer beta is expected for this spring. This is brought to you by Rock Paper Shotgun. The developer, Eric Barone, mentions he's still shooting for a spring release for the beta. It's version 1.3, and once released, it will bring an official support to online multiplayer. So you'll be able to have your farm in your town and have your buddies drop in, or vice versa, you could drop into their town. There will be a few other features such as signs, but the idea of having a friend join and into your own town with his, with the activity that you're doing is actually very attractive to me. I just hope if he does it, it's across all platforms, because I have it on the Switch. Actually, I have it on the PC as well. Never mind.
I got it gifted to me.
You did?
I did.
Ooh. On the PC?
Yeah.
Oh, we might have to do some multiplayer action soon.
Hello! Come on, stop by your farm and say hi. In other news, my friend, there's a little bit of a kerfuffle over in Valve. Valve decided to go ahead and ban a developer after employees were leaving fake user reviews. Now, this is a little bit cagey at best, just because it wasn't like employees all got together and said, hey, let's go leave a review for our game so it boost it. It was actually incited by the CEO via an email. And the email basically has to do with a game that was released and wasn't doing so well. And this is a game by Incel Games. It was like War something, or I don't know what the hell it's called. But anyways, basically the game came out, wasn't really doing all that well. And one of the key ways to get your game noticed is to have it boosted by a lot of good reviews. So the CEO sent out an email to all his staff that said basically at the day of launch in December, email was sent out to everyone the company telling staff, about 20 people, including freelancers, how important reviews are in the Steam ecosystem, and that a failure of Wild Busters, that's the name of the game, would mean the company was in jeopardy. It was meant to rally people's support, including advertising the game to family and friends and whatnot. So what it boils down to is what the email that went down to them basically said, hey, you should go out, Mr. Employee, and buy the game on Steam and then leave a positive review, and we'll even reimburse you for buying the game on Steam. And then they end-rounded when they got called out in Reddit and were saying, oh, well, we didn't mean it that way. We were trying to promote them to talk to friends and family, to get the word out there via word of mouth and all that. Yeah. Basically what it boils down to is they got caught with their pants down, and Valve didn't take kindly to it and has dropped them from the Steam lineup straight up. So they are gone. If you did happen to be one of the 24,000 people that actually bought this game, no worries. It's still in your library. You will still have access to it. It's just, it's no longer on the sale page for people to buy directly. So there you go.
Yeah.
Whoops!
So I'm going to switch gears to media news, and it's back to good old YouTube. So this is actually from Polygon, and it basically, the title is YouTube will stop recommending putting problematic creators on the homepage. So they issued a new set of rules regarding problematic creators on their blog post. Confirmed in their blog post that creators who engage in negative behavior that can affect the community as a whole will lose access to ad revenue, could be revoked from the YouTube Partner Program, which I believe is what happened to, what's his name, Logan?
Yep.
Yep, and it will stop being recommended to users. So good, but it's sad that it had to come to some bad apples to ruin it for the bunch. The blog post reiterates that this will only affect a small amount of creators, as the goal is to weed out the community's troublesome people. So
basically, most of the top contenders on YouTube, like PewDiePie, Logan Paul,
right, exactly,
like they're gonna fucking pull them. They're raking in cash.
They're making them money. That's the thing.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but they're literally dumping wheelbarrows of Benjamins on the doorstep. They're not gonna fucking delist them. I'm calling bullshit on that one. I'm sorry. Hey, switch gears to other news, guys. I want to bring this up because this does affect a lot of us, including especially people in the U.S. FCC Chair Ajit Pai investigated for Sinclair ties. I'll give you the kind of quick synopsis here so I don't bore you guys to death. Ajit Pai is a chairperson we all know and love because he's trying to revoke net neutrality in America. And basically, he's under investigation by the FCC Inspector General for his ties to Sinclair Broadcasting. Now, multiple U.S. state representatives have requested the investigation, saying that Pai has aided in improperly pushing for rules to be changed that benefit Sinclair's broadcast and acquisition of Tribune Media. Now, just so you guys know, if you haven't heard the name Sinclair before, you may not be aware of them, but you do know them in a sense. In April, Ajit Pai pushed some regulation changes regarding how many channels or stations that one company could own. Yeah. And by changing those rules, Sinclair was able to snap up this new company and merge with it. Now, Sinclair already is the largest broadcaster in the United States with 191 stations, and grabbing Tribune brings another 42 into the mix. The problem with this is, with one entity owning so much, they own basically a lot of people's eyeballs. So if they want to distort messages like, say, Fox does, for example, they can do that, and that's a problem. So, yeah, he's under investigation for that, and that's going to cause him problems. I hope it does. I hope it makes his life a little bit harder, because he's kind of a dick. But on the bright side,
there's more news.
One last one.
It's an Equifax breach may have exposed more data than first thought. So I believe
Equifax news.
No, but I believe it's in reference to the original breach that we've reported.
Yep.
Basically, CNN has learned that Equifax told the U.S. Senate Banking Committee that more data may have been exposed than initially determined. Mm-hmm. So the breach was comprised of about 145 million people. That's and all. Out of those, about
145.5.
Yeah. Out of those, 10.9 million were American driver's license and 700,000 UK driver's license. So Equifax did stress to CNN that their initial list of exposed data was never meant to be the final definitive account of the scope of the problem. So they're like, well, we didn't actually mean that was accurate, right? But this has brought on, like, senators are clamoring for a thorough investigation and want to know the full extent of what happened.
Oh, now they want a thorough
I know,
investigation. Shit me.
Man.
Well,
Never
on that
ends.
bombshell, we're going to go ahead and move on.
Okay, guys.
Welcome back. All right, we're going to be getting into another set of games on this game releases. There's some good ones in here, even for the Switch. Okay, guys, your first game is on February 20th. It is Age of Empires Definitive Edition. This is out for the PC, and it is a real-time strategy. Now, for those of you who have been paying attention through the game releases over the year, I've already covered this one. Well, that's true. The game was originally supposed to be released or re-released in October of 2017, but was pushed back till now. Once again, this is the original Age of Empires brought to you in 4K. If this was your jam back in 1997, then it's time to get into it again. And your next game, also on February 20th, is Metal Gear Survive. This is coming out for PC, PS4, Xbox One. It is Metal Gear with zombies. I'm sorry, there may be some of you out there that kind of like this, but in my opinion, this game is trash. Guys, this is an example of a hugely successful gaming franchise forgetting what made it great in the first place and then selling out and putting a game that's basically shit on a stick and selling it at a premium price to you because of the name that's published all over it, Metal Gear. Fuck this shit. And your next game is on February 22nd, and it is Typo Man. This is coming out for the Nintendo Switch, and it is a puzzle platformer. Guys, this game looks amazing. If you like puzzle platformers, then this is right up your alley. The game reminds me of a cross between Limbo and the game Inside, and it's basically a hero made up of letters. Yeah, you heard me right. It's a bunch of text on the screen. The game has a bunch of challenging puzzles, and it uses this text that comes up on screen in unique and interesting ways. I'm sold. And your next game is on February 22nd. It is Pac-Man Championship Edition 2+ for the Nintendo Switch. It is an arcade game. And come on, guys, who does not like Pac-Man? Seriously. This game is now portable, and you can plug it into your TV and play it up on the big screen, and it has dozens of different game modes. Also, there is a co-op mode that allows two different players to share Joy-Cons and play a single game. Pretty awesome. And your next game is out on February 23rd. It is Past Cure for PC, PS4, Xbox One, and it is an action-adventure/shooter. This game looks really intriguing. Even though there's a lot of gunplay and action, there's also a little bit of puzzle solving thrown in the mix there, and what looks like some good old-fashioned mindfuckery. I mean, if you've ever had a game that might be like the movie Inception, then this is that game. And your last game for the week is on February 27th. It is Payday 2 for the Nintendo Switch, which is a first-person shooter. Now, everyone knows Payday 2. It's not a new game by any stretch of the imagination, but now it's out on the Switch. I mean, that little system, what a powerful gadget it is. And I'm looking forward to this. The game is a lot of fun with your friends, and what worries me is the piss-poor online implementation on the Switch. So who knows how bad it's going to be. And that's it, guys. That is our game releases for this week. Thank you for coming along for the ride. I really appreciate it, and I will see you again next week. Bye for now.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and dive into the main topic tonight. And again, guys, I want to apologize in advance because this is, in my opinion, a kind of tired topic. But again, there's just it's been rekindled with a recent incident that it's just kind of brought all the wackos out of the woodwork, and especially with, you know, Trump as a president right now, it seems like they're already coming out as it is. This has kind of amplified that. So tonight's topic is actually two different things that are kind of on the same page we want to dive into. So to start off with, we're going to talk about the shooting in Florida and how video games are being blamed for it. I know this is an entire topic, but again, this is important. So for anybody who hasn't heard about this, my apologies if you already have. Give me a minute to get everybody caught up here. Recently, there was a school shooting in Florida. A kid basically came in with an AR and laid waste to a bunch of people. I believe 17 died. There's one critical in the hospital. Lots of people injured. And this time, the shooter decided to not shoot himself, but actually dropped his weapons and tried to filter out with the kids exiting to safety. They did end up catching him, so they're going to put him to trial, obviously. But what I want to focus on, away from that, since this is a gaming podcast, is the fact that a certain Kentucky governor decided to say, you know what the problem is? It's all those violent video games and music and movies that are desensitizing our kids, and this is why this shit's happening. Oh my dear God! So let's start with that. And I got a few others here. So this lovely gentleman right here I'm bringing up, Matt Bevan, the guy's a fucking idiot. I'm also surprised he's not like 80 years old, because he's got the like mentality of it to think that games are a problem here. Listen, I play lots of games. I have not had a problem. I have plenty of friends play lots of games. They have not had problems. We have had, at this point, I'm just going to call it and say exhaustive studies regarding violent video games, and the complete lack of any evidence that would point to kids being swayed to be violent or swayed to be desensitized to violence. Okay, it is still, at least currently for the tests that have been shown, that there is no association to playing a violent video game and wanting to go out and be violent. There have been studies that have proven actually the opposite in some cases, within reason. And a lot of these studies that they've talked about have actually been pretty in-depth studies with a pretty large sample set, with ages ranging from youthful minors all the way up into the adult stem of the range of people. So we have, I mean, there's been a lot of stuff going on, and somehow this guy apparently missed the memo, or he apparently knows better than scientists doing official studies in a controlled environment, etc. Somehow this guy knows better. And again, it's not just video games. He's blaming music. He's blaming violent imagery from
probably TV shows or
TV
movies.
shows, yeah. And this bothers me to a major point, because this is the kind of stuff that detracts from the issue at hand. There are 17 people dead because somebody is in a mental state that is not okay, has access to a weapon, and went and wreaked havoc somewhere that cost people lives. We need to focus on that and look at the
and
facts.
not just blame the games, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
So that's a problem. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because, again, the crazies came out of the woodwork. Well, not a crazy, the crazies came out of the woodwork. We also had Fox and Friends, our good old friends of Fox and Friends, had a guest on who cited that the issue is actually to do with prescription drugs and VR. Yes. So
VR's only been out on the market for like a year and a half, like actually out on the market.
Nevertheless, her logic here is that prescription drugs, and she specifically cites that more than 70% of America is on some sort of prescription drug, and then goes on to further that and say that the vast majority of drugs people are on are antidepressants and barbiturates. Now, here's the first issue is, first of all, she's stretching the truth. I don't even know if the 70% is correct.
Is accurate, right?
But it seems logical, because, hell, my mother-in-law is on insulin. My best friend is on blood thinners. I'm on Prilosec for heartburn. So yes, a lot of us are on prescription drugs of some sort or another. But then she tacks on and the majority of that is antidepressants and narcotics. Okay, So right there, she's making this unassumed connection. She's letting people watching make this connection that, oh my God, 70% of people are on antidepressants. No. Okay. There may be a large majority of people who are on prescription drugs because we're all living well into our 80s and our bodies just aren't functioning that well. We need help. I don't know what the percentage is of people on antidepressants and all of that. I'm sorry. If I had the time to look this up, I would have for you guys. I apologize. However, this is the kind of dangerous mentality people have. She goes on to point out or to imply that eventually everybody is going to be on them, and then goes on to talk about how basically kids are wearing VR goggles and being desensitized or being exposed. She makes the connection of saying back in World War I, soldiers were trained on crosshair targets for shooting. In World War II, they were trained on silhouettes of people. And this is leading us into a desensitized state where shooting a real person just doesn't affect us anymore. And this is why these kind of things are happening. Now, again, I'm calling bullshit on this because she's a fucking idiot. There is no evidence that supports this and lots of evidence that doesn't.
Right.
The little caveat here that scares me is the fact that this is a woman who was on Fox and Friends. This is a morning daily talk show on Fox News, which is very conservative leaning, and happens to be a show that our president, President Trump, actually watches and regurgitates. There's actually been a study that shows the amount of tweets he does on Twitter increasing around the time of the show airing and actually regurgitating in his tweets what they're saying.
Gotcha.
So he's actually treating them like advisors in that sense. So these people have the President of the United States ear, and they're putting bullshit like this in front of them. That's scary within itself. I can go on. This is the other thing about this that absolutely drives me fucking nuts.
Yeah, this is not cool.
No, it's not at all. Well, here,
the whole event is not cool. But the thing is the fact that we have people in place to try and figure out what went wrong, and they all say, "No, it's video games." Realistically, they should be asking questions like, "How old was the kid? Where did he get access to the weapon?
Yes,
how did he get things like that?"
But this is exactly what hasn't come up. Now, real quickly, in addition to that, Michael Black, this is an actor that he blames the whole situation on the culture of caveman masculinity, and basically said that boys are broken, and that's the problem. Because of that, they're violent. And again, there's some issue regarding masculinity, and it's because of the boys being broken that they're doing this kind of shit. Here's my favorite of all, and I'm almost afraid to even point this out, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, this person here, oh my dear God, I just, I'm sorry, it's so hard for me to even try to say it with a straight face. So this is an AA actress that posted a tweet that said, "Woman puts baby up for adoption. He grows up to be a violent young man who will spend the rest of his life in prison for mass murder. Don't tell me about how abortion is wrong." So she just used this most recent school mass murder to push her views on abortion. Now, I happen to agree that to the right to decision.
Yeah.
This is fucking stupid. And this is the other big problem that comes up, is that every single person is pointing to issues from VR games to not aborting a child as being the root cause and problem.
Prescription medicine.
Yeah. And nobody is saying anything about, hey, you know what? This guy obviously had mental issue and he had access to a gun that fires many, 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 many rounds of bullets. It's not a single action. It's not a limited round like a hunting rifle.
How old was he? Do we know?
Something like 19.
Could he have gotten the
weapon
through? No, I know, but could he have gotten the weapon
He bought it.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, he could have. Yeah, that's right. Because he's of age. Or no, he's not of age. What's the age in U.S.?
18.
18? Okay.
Yeah,
same here. Same here.
If there's a rule to be had, that would be it. There was even some note about him being a part of a NRA-sponsored air rifle event where he shot really well. Yay! That's great news. But anyways, so this is we're getting back to once again this issue of trying to lay blame at the feet of everything else. And this is not even just video games. This is video games, media, abortion, drugs, you name it. Nobody wants to admit to the fact that, yes, there are mentally unhinged people that are going to be violent, but there's a big difference between a violent murder and violent mass murders. And this is a big deal. We need to get people help who need it. We need to be able to put money and resources into identifying people who need the help. We need to help them be better, and we need to make sure they don't have easy access to weapons that can do mass damage. And nobody wants to give into that. On the front of games, to get back to the whole gaming front.
Gaming, yeah.
Here's the thing. If I have me and 10 friends, or me and 9 friends, that play violent games, and one of us has a mental issue that game causes him to flick in his head that he wants to go out and murder people, which again, not proven, but nevertheless, you don't go after the gaming realm.
Right.
For it. You don't tell, Valve and EA and Microsoft that they're responsible for making morally acceptable games. If you have morally acceptable games, you lose a huge number of the game. You're not going to be playing Overwatch, you're shooting people. And the problem is, too, is extremists are always going to go one step further. At some point, you say, fine, we get rid of all the shooting games. They're going to keep stepping down. Well, there's this game where this guy runs around, and he's a plumber, and he jumps on people's heads and kills them. You know what? That's violent. We should probably get rid of that, too. It might trigger discomfort somehow.
Especially for the little kids playing it.
Yeah. The other thing, actually, the Kentucky governor made a comment saying, oh, hey, yeah, by the way, there are games with mature labels on them, but we all know that kids are playing them, and that's the problem. Is there's no checks in. Nobody's watching out for this. Well, yeah, actually, they're supposed to be. Manufacturer or game retailers should be selling games that are mature to underage people. Okay?
I've been in retailers that sell video games only, and they've carded kids and said, nope, sorry, can't give you that. Nope.
So there's that. Also, there's just the fact that there's fucking parents that need to fucking parent.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100%
I have 4
agree.
kids. 4 kids. And I have shut my kids down on repeated occasions for watching content on YouTube that I think is inappropriate, for the swearing factor, for whatever. I have not let my son play certain shooting games because I feel that it is an environment that I don't think he's ready for. And I'll be honest with you, more often than not, it's less about the game and more about the depiction, or the people that are in it tend to be, a little loose with the lips in terms of audio chat, things like that. This is what parenting is. It's taking a little bit of time to actually check what your kids are doing and be connected to them so you know what the hell is happening. That's all it is. And they're not doing that. So I'm sorry. The blame sits very squarely, in my opinion, in parenting and raising the kid, and in society's inability to accept the fact that A, we need to devote resources to help people in need, and B, that we really need to actually have a crackdown on guns, because the United States has one of the loosest gun laws in the modern world, and we have by far and away the highest per capita shootings of everybody. Like, literally put all the other countries together. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I know correlation is not causation, but God, is it ever conveniently interesting that we are so rampant with guns and so loose with gun ownership, and we have so many violent crimes involving guns. It's just absolutely fucking ridiculous. So, anyways, that's my rant about that. And again, guys, I really want to get your guys' input on this. And my focus here is to breathe a little bit of reality back into the picture and try to get people just a reminder, when you start going off on these tangents and reading these articles about these fucking whack jobs blaming everything up to and including the Illuminati on these shootings, to reel it back in and remember that this was somebody who didn't get help when they should have and had access to something he shouldn't have had.
Right.
And that's the real root cause right there. Now, switching gears here, we're going to go on to another sorry, tired ass topic, but something that I find kind of humorous.
It's in a way related. In fact, there are some things in there that I'm going to go through that you'll notice kind of tie in very well with what you've spoken about. So we've covered this on a previous episode. Back in January, the World Health Organization basically included gaming disorder into its the 11th International Classifications of Diseases.
Yep.
So this made basically if you game a lot, you fit within a certain category of symptoms, I guess. Would you call them symptoms?
Yep.
You could be diagnosed as a person with a gaming disorder. And
for the record, that's not mean like you play games bad. It's basically that they're at a point where they're kind of taking over what you do. You'd rather play rather than go out, which isn't. I think it's stupid. But just to kind of, it's not just games though. They also lot into this things like social. So there was a study done by Common Sense Media back in 2016. Basically a nonprofit organization that helps families deal with modern media. They basically asked like teens, and nearly 50% of them saw themselves as addicted. Another British company by the name of Ofcom had a similar survey where 60% of people in UK felt themselves addicted to like iPhones or whatever, phones and smartphones, I should say, and posting themselves online and things like that. So basically the compulsive need to take and post pictures of yourself online could become a genuine mental health issue. I have a selfie addiction.
See, that's the thing. Now, that's one aspect or one branch of it. But going back to the gaming disorder, it's, even the thought this encompasses the need of posting photos on social media and expressing a high sign of addiction. But there's a doctor by the name of Michelle Calder-Caras, a postdoctoral person on the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, I know. Basically, this person was indicating that characterizing this as an addiction is not necessarily accurate. So I want to read a quick little quote, which is actually pretty cool. Addiction is not a good term to be using with video games because I would say, unlike substance problems, there's no substance that we're ingesting that directly affects your brain chemistry. It makes more sense to talk about problematic video gaming. Playing video games is an enormous experience that has to be taken in context, because if we think of video games as a potential threat of addiction, then it's going to be hard to figure out exactly who has problems and who needs help.
Okay,
right?
Now hold on one second there. I understand where she's coming from, but at the same time, yes, there are chemical addictions. There's the opioid epidemic that's going on right now. There's alcoholism. There's people who are addicted to cigarettes, nicotine. But then there's also a gambling addiction, which is a identified and acknowledged issue.
And you're not still altering. Well, you are. You kind of are altering brain chemistry.
But how does the gambling addiction vary from the social or technology addiction?
In my opinion, I think you brought up a good point, because it doesn't really, right? It's what's that chemical they call? Is it dopamine?
Dopamine
that makes you feel good. So
it's the reward drug. Yeah.
Yeah. You win that cash through the machine that you pull, and there goes a flood of dopamine. So you just keep pumping it back in.
You're basically dosing yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
With yourself.
And in a way, I imagine video games fall into more that category rather than chemically altering your status, your brain. So
basically,
well, the fear is that video games can kind of entrench and become the root cause of horrific events such as what you've just kind of covered. An example of this would be that there are people that are still claiming Adam Lanza, who was the 2012 Sandy Hook shooter, was an avid player of Call of Duty. So in this case, they're blaming for the shooting that just happened in Florida. They're blaming video games. Did they come up with a specific game? Do you know?
No? The Kentucky governor was just saying
in
video
general.
games in general, media in general.
Okay. Because on this particular article from Engadget, they were saying that that shooter from Sandy Hook shooter was an avid player of Call of Duty. So they're pinning a specific game.
Which, and for the record,
that
during that time, that was one of the biggest shooters games. At the time. Yeah, I mean, everybody and their mother and grandmother and great-grandmother were fucking playing it. So, I mean, it's just like saying, well, this person ran down 40 people and he was a driver. Everybody owns a car! I mean,
so
shock and shocks.
Yeah, exactly. But see, the interesting thing is after they did the official investigation with him specifically, Adam Lanza, it ended up turning out that the game he played regularly was Dance Dance Revolution. So that's actually a good example of how, sure, maybe he played some Call of Duty, but if they checked and did an investigation, and hopefully this was accurate information, and he plays more Dance Dance Revolution, he should have been dancing. Do you get what I'm saying?
My wife played a shit ton of Farmville and related type game more recently from Disney, and I have yet to see her ass get out in the garden and actually plant anything. I mean, I'm just saying.
I think if this information is accurate, I think that clearly shows that it's not just a matter of being able to simply point at a game and say that's the game.
Yep.
That's responsible for this. It's a matter of what was with this person. Did they have pressures in life, stresses in life? Were they seeking medical attention to help them with maybe some of this? Maybe not just medical, maybe what's the other one? Psychological.
Okay, so
right?
Yeah, but let's back up here a little bit because specifically this article, the headline says new tech addictions. Now, when it comes to the tech addiction thing, this is where we get back into the difference between the connection and what they're actually addicted to. Like, if there's a situation where, Sandy Hook says, well, you played this game, so we're going to blame the Xbox. Well, you're not going to blame the tech for this. This is not necessarily a tech addiction in that regard. It's a social addiction. And this is where we got to get back into the kind of the reality check here. It's not so much in addition to your phone. Your phone happens to be the most convenient
it's a medium
device to get to X, be it Facebook, be it anything else. Okay, the item itself is not the problem. It's the convenience and the connection to these sites. Yeah. And again, I'm not even going to blame the sites for this. I mean, Facebook's fucking useless, but nevertheless, it is a connective point. The issue is, just like with any of those social structures, you are going to run into a bigger event of things happening, meaning a higher chance of bullying, a higher chance of getting the feedback you want to boost your morale, i.e. I'm going to post a selfie onto Instagram and, oh, look, I got a little hearts for it. Yay, I'm popular.
I usually post what I barbecue.
Yes, you like to post your sausage online.
Oh, hey.
But this is an issue that this is not something new. There are kids who get bummed out because they're not part of the cool clique. They try to get into the cool crowd and they get shunned for it. Yeah. It's now on a global scale, so to speak, because now it literally is global. It's a lot more visible. And I could be missing something here. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I could be missing something here. You read the article in more detail. But I'm concerned that once again, we're getting into the weeds in terms of actually focusing on what the actual issue is, instead of taking the easy road of just saying, hey, you know what? Prank calling is an issue, and obviously it's the fault of the phone makers. Don't think it works like that.
This with the World Health Organization calling it out as a video game disorder, this could be the excuse that I don't know, people in power or need to be able to say, well, this just happened. It's obviously a video game disorder, right? So yeah, I mean, they do also in this article bring up the Columbine shooting, and in that instance, the scapegoat was the game Doom.
Yep.
Apparently, so well. Finishing off
that game
would
incite all kinds of violence against demons.
Yeah.
Horrible. The devil shot lot.
In the very end of the actual article, the same doctor, Dr. Calder, points out that treating the underlying mental illness can be tricky. Simply limiting the game time may backfire as it eliminates access to one's online social structure. Right? So even trying to cut somebody off can actually give you the opposite reaction. I personally, I'm like, I look at this whole thing and I didn't even, I mean, I did hear about what just happened recently, but I didn't know the details till tonight. I feel really sad about it. I mean, nobody wants anything like that to happen, but I agree with you, Warped, in that something's got to be done about how easy it is to get guns. Like up here in Canada, I'm sorry, it's not that simple. You have to go through all kinds of testing, psychological evaluation, all kinds of stuff to even be able to. And even then, there's a limit to what kind of weapons are allowed, right? So it's not just like up here. You can't get. I don't think you can get fully automatic weapons unless you're buying them out of the trunk of a car up the street from where I live. And that is not a joke.
No, I agree with you, but this is to be clear and disclaimer to everybody, that is our opinion on things. My stance on it is pretty harsh about. I think gun access is way too free and able, but I really think, again, going back to the focus of things,
games, yeah.
Well, identifying what the true issue is.
Yeah. This
addiction to games. It's just addiction issues in general. It's not something new. It's just got a new face on it. And again, this all goes back down to people are going to have addictive tendencies towards things. And we need to focus on helping them, having programs that can help them, and so on. So, there you go. That's my opinion on it. Again, guys, please feel free to leave some comments down below. Give us your input on this. I know it's a touchy subject, and I'm not asking you to put your neck out there for somebody else to start chewing on per se. But it is a very important topic, and I would like to keep the conversation focused on the idea of, again, dismissing the cruff and fodder that is this speculation of this and speculation of that. And if you come across somebody that has an opposing view on things, regardless of what it is, make sure to keep your mind open, allow them to speak their points, and to express their views to you without shutting them or shutting them down or whatever. And if you can, politely, take the time to point out the facts you know about. It's not that hard to do Google searches, and find studies, facts, bullet points, etc., that you can pull up and show them and say, hey, I understand where you're coming from, but I'd like to get some clarification because you said X, but when I look this up, I'm finding this. And have a rational discussion, because that's the only way you're ever going to get through to somebody. It's the only way you're ever going to learn, too. I could be wrong in some of the aspects I'm talking about, and I welcome the input for it, so let us know. Anyways, guys, we got to get moving on here and wrapping things up, so we'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of the wonderful podcast tonight. Again, I appreciate you sticking through it to the end here. It is, I know, kind of a tired topic, but again, it was worth bringing up in light of all the recent stuff going on, and just kind of remind people to keep your wits about you, keep an open mind, and if anything more, defend the reality a little bit in some cases. So thank you for that. Anyways, guys, we do have to get going here, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap her on up and say adios and good night. But first, I got to say thank you to Kirrok, as always, by my side.
Yeah, you
appreciate
got it. Anytime.
Kirrok, as always, you've got more things going on with your YouTube channel here. You've got, you finished up Mafia yet?
I have not. I've been playing other games. I don't know. I might put Mafia on the back burner for a bit.
Ooh, okay.
I've been playing Kingdom Come Deliverance.
You've been telling me about that. Have you been streaming it?
Yes, I have. It is such a good game.
Good
It
to
is
know.
so good. It's frustrating, and that's what makes it good.
So good, it's frustrating. Hey guys, KirrokCraft on YouTube, KirrokCraft on Twitch.
Yeah.
You should know this by now, but definitely go over there and check the stuff out. He's fun to watch. I enjoy it very much. He's also a part of the Project Singularity crew, which again has a wonderful bunch of people here that we love and enjoy, and many of them are active and social and whatnot on the BRG group.
Yep.
So definitely make sure you check them out as well, because they're all good peeps. And more so over the wonderful world of Hop Along Games.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you guys have been rocking on the shows, and I'm enjoying those. You guys should know them by now because we talked about them enough, but also we had them on last week.
That's right. Yeah. No, the week before last.
Before, that's right.
Yeah.
And episode 109, actually. And they got to do a little bit of a mini hop episode within the podcast.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Check that out. It's worth it. You can see 2 shows in one. It's 2 for the price of one night. So yeah, definitely make sure you head over there and check Kirrok out in all his many forms and fashions, because it's definitely worth it. Also, make sure you check out the Bottle Rocket Gaming group. Again, we are a wonderful group of gamers that love to have fun, love to game, shocker, and even do a little bit of media and whatnot now and then. So definitely make sure you check that out. You can find us over... Well, we have BotRockGaming.com, which is currently under construction, so it's not much there. But you can find us on Discord. Links should be down below in the notes. If not, go over to our Twitch channel, which we happen to have, and now have all the notes and links down there as well, so you can check that out. Yes, we do have a Twitch channel. Yes, we do actively stream on Twitch channel Monday through Friday. We have people who stream directly to the channel, and then we have a whole bunch of BRG folks that we host. So there's usually content going on most of the time on there. You can check it out and have some good times there. Also, we do have a YouTube channel, obviously. Ta-da! Here you are. Since you're here, do us a solid. Leave a like for us if you enjoyed the show. Hit the subscribe button if you want to find out more. Keep in touch with the many shows that are coming up. We've got this podcast here. We also have a new show we started called Inside the Gaming Mind. We have 2 episodes out of that. First one being Kirrok here. Getting to know the people a little more personally. Getting to know the history and details about where they came from and where they're going. So definitely encourage you to check that out as well. And of course, last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a way to give us money. And everybody likes to give away money. No, really, you like giving away money. It must be true. It's on the internet. So it has to be true.
If it's on the internet, it's true.
Exactly. Feel free to put a few dollars our way. It certainly just help us out. We do put the money back right into the community. We like to do events where we can do giveaways or help people out in the group that we're in by getting them a game when they can't afford it, or helping them out with computer parts if their computer is fuckered. We do that kind of thing. Again, we're a community, and I encourage you guys to come check out our community and join us because it is a blast. All right, guys, thank you so much once again for joining us. We do this once a week, every week, so you'll always have some content to sit back, relax, and enjoy, and I definitely encourage that you keep up with it because we love talking to people. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.